This is the PUJH dual motors electric bike. And my first impression was simple. It looks and rides like a light electric motorcycle disguised as a fat tire bike. The size, the stance, the dual hub motors, and the full suspension all set a certain expectation before I even touched the throttle. I could feel the weight just rolling it around. And I could also feel how solid the frame and wheels are. That mix of heft and confidence pretty much defines the first few minutes with it. On looks and feel, it's unapologetically beefy. The 24x40 fat tires fill out the frame and give it a planted, confident look. The 6061 aluminum chassis has clean welds and a rugged geometry that sits higher than a typical commuter. The cockpit is straightforward. A twist throttle on the right, a clear color LCD, a Shimano trigger shifter, and wide bars that give good leverage. The saddle has extra padding and the post has springs, which combined with the front fork and rear shock, makes it feel cushy even before you start rolling. The lighting is bright enough for real night riding, the turn signals are a legit safety upgrade, and the included rack and fenders are practical. The plastics on the fenders and a few accessory pieces feel budget, but the core structure doesn't. At about 85 pounds, moving it without power is a workout and lifting it is not fun, but once it's rolling, the mass translates into stability. From my experience, the ride character depends entirely on how you use the power. In single motor mode with low pedal assist, it behaves like a heavy, comfortable cruiser. It eases up to neighborhood speeds, floats over cracks and potholes, and the hydraulic brakes give smooth, predictable stops. Switch to dual motor and roll on the throttle, and it stops pretending to be a bicycle. The surge is instant and strong. I clocked an indicated 38 miles per hour on flat pavement with minimal wind, and it got there faster than I expected for something with pedals. Hills are where it really flexes. On a steep local climb that makes most bikes crawl, I stayed seated and powered up without drama. That 160 newton-meters torque claim feels believable in how quickly it digs in and keeps moving, even on loose gravel. Key features that stood out to me are the dual hydraulic brakes, the 52-volt 25 amp-hour removable battery, the switchable single dual motor control, and the full 7-point comfort stack, fork shocks, rear shock, spring seat post, and the fat tires acting like extra suspension. Hydraulic brakes are a big deal on a machine this heavy and this fast. They let me modulate speed with one finger and dump speed hard when I needed to. The battery's 1300 watt capacity is substantial. On my mixed rides using pedal assist levels 1 to 2 and occasional throttle bursts, I saw around 55 to 65 miles before hitting low battery. When I stayed mostly on throttle in dual motor mode, I landed closer to 35 to 45 miles. On a conservative route in single motor PUJH with steady pedaling, I stretched into the 70s. So the claimed 40 to 110 miles is technically possible depending on how you ride, but the aggressive stuff eats electrons quickly. Charging with the included charger took me a bit over 6 hours from near empty. Comfort is better than I expected for a budget full suspension setup. It's not a high-end mountain bike feel, but it does soak up curb cuts, washboard dirt, and rutted trail sections without beating me up. The fat tires let me drop pressure for traction on sand and then bump it back up for pavement. One note for new riders, dual hub motors put more weight in the wheels, and that can make quick, chattery bumps feel a bit harsher at speed than a mid-drive design with lighter wheels. It wasn't a deal breaker for me, just a characteristic you sense once you start pushing. Control and setup were straightforward. The LCD is readable in daylight, the throttle response is smooth rather than jerky, and the Shimano 7-speed is fine for spinning up to speed or keeping cadence on longer rides. To be honest, the motors do most of the work, so I stayed in the higher gears and used the shifter more to keep my legs comfortable than to climb. Assembly took me around 35 minutes, mostly because I went slow, checked all the fasteners with the included tools, trued the rotor rub, and adjusted the derailleur limit screws. I did notice a small cosmetic scuff on a fender out of the box, nothing that affected function. The rack mounted solidly, and it actually held a loaded pannier and a small cooler without flexing. The horn is loud, the headlight is legit bright for low-speed trail finding at night, and the turn signals made me feel more visible riding home after sunset. In my opinion, this bike is built for power users first, casual riders second. It absolutely blurs the line between an e-bike and a lightweight moto. It's perfect for rural backroads, chunky gravel, fire trails, beach runs, and snow days, or anyone who wants serious hill capability without sweating the climb. It's also a strong fit for bigger riders or riders carrying cargo up to that 330-pound limit. Where it's less ideal is dense city riding. The size and torque are overkill for weaving through traffic or tight multi-use paths. Also, check your local rules. The top speed here is way past typical Class 3 limits, so I treated it like an off-road or private property machine when I wanted to use the throttle freely. There are a few quirks. The weight is the price of admission for this much battery and dual motors, and you feel it when parking, loading into a vehicle, or maneuvering in a small garage. The suspension needs an occasional check and tweak because heavy frames and fast miles loosen things up. I'd also keep an eye on spokes and brake pad wear, since the combo of speed, mass, and fat tires puts more load on wheel components and stoppers than a standard e-bike. The points I like most are the punchy acceleration, the confidence of the hydraulic brakes, and the practicality of the removable 52-volt battery. The single dual motor switch is the quiet hero. It lets me tame the bike for everyday errands and unleash it for steep climbs or sand. The 24-inch fat tires hit a sweet spot for stability without the sluggish turn-in I sometimes feel on 26-inch fatties. The accessory bundle, rack, lights with signals, fenders, phone holder, means I didn't need to spend more to start using it for real tasks. From my experience, the value equation makes sense if you actually want what this bike does best: cover rough ground fast, carry weight, and flatten hills. I'd recommend this for riders who want motorcycle flavor without leaving pedals behind, people with hilly routes, hunters or campers rolling gear into spots where trucks can't go, and anyone who rides year-round across dirt, snow, and sand. If your riding is mostly flat city streets at modest speeds, or you live up a staircase, I'd steer you to something lighter and capped at Class 3 speeds. Also, if you're not comfortable doing basic wrenching, like tightening bolts, aligning brakes, or adjusting a derailleur, you'll want a local shop or a handy friend on call. In conclusion, the PUJH Dual Motors electric bike delivers serious torque, real speed, and broad terrain capability in a package that emphasizes power and utility over minimal weight or boutique parts. It asks you to accept heft and be mindful about maintenance, and it rewards you with effortless climbs, stable high-speed cruising, and a comfy ride on sketchy surfaces. Key features like the hydraulic brakes, the 52-volt 25-hour battery, the full suspension stack, and the single dual motor control make it more versatile than it looks at first glance. In my opinion, it's a blast when used where it belongs and a bit much for slow city errands. If that balance matches your rides, it's an easy machine to smile on. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and drop your questions or your own range numbers in the comments. Thank you for watching.